Hey, hi, hello, how is everyone? It is good to see you and it is good to be seen by you. Welcome to the show. I am the one and only Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver, coming to you from a very cold, undisclosed location somewhere in the swamps of Central Florida. And boy, howdy, is my feed choppy. This is really not good. But anyway, wherever you are, I hope you're warm. I hope you are. I hope you are staying plenty warm right now, and that everything is going well for you. Um, as for me, hey, it's Wednesday night. It is my birthday eve. That is to say, my birthday is tomorrow. Don't jump up and say happy birthday. Rabbit Wrangler, Orbital Air, good to see you both here. Um, but anyway, let Chopper know. Let me ask you a favor. If you're just stopping by for the first time and you haven't already done this, would you please do me a solid and click the subscribe button and click the bell icon for notifications to find out about when we do this craziness, uh you know when we do this, um because I, of course, I stream 5 nights a week, and well, at least I try to. And I do some interstitial videos every now and again when there's news that merits support. When news breaks, I fix it, as the thing said. Daniel Rowan, good to see you. Rob Turner, FMCS Recon. Um, but I'm going to bitch about the weather a little bit more. I'm going to do that. Guys, there's 10 inches of snow on the ground in Pensacola, Florida. 10 inches of snow on the ground. That's a lot of snow. I don't particularly care where you're from. That's a lot of snow. That's almost a foot. That is mighty cold. And before you ask, no, there's been no snow here in Central Florida. But I'm kind of surprised because the feels like outside is in the 30s. I don't really understand that, the feels like temperature. When people talk about it feels like. Well, it either is or it isn't. I mean, sharp doesn't feel like dull. Bright doesn't feel like dim. Rob Turner says, it's that ice age they promised us when we were kids. I mean, I know what wind chill factor is. I absolutely understand the wind chill factor. It's let's say it's 40 degrees outside, but the wind is blowing, and that causes the ambient temperature to drop. I understand wind chill. Don't get me wrong. But they just say it feels like it could be 38 and still just the air is still, no breeze to speak of, and they say, but the feels like is in the low 30s. Like it's BS. Anyway, I'm sitting here. I have a blanket on my lap here. I got a little nice Sherpa blanket, and I'm just trying to stay warm out here in the control room, as it were. And yeah, there was. I remember who grew up watching In Search of with Leonard Nimoy. I was an In Search of kid. And I remember one is In Search of the Coming Ice Age. And the funny thing is, this struck me odd, and you guys know full well, I don't talk about the P word here. Um, but in Search of the Coming Ice Age, which I think you can probably find it on YouTube. We're not going to go too far down this rabbit hole, I promise. We have other stuff to talk about. But the In Search of the Ice Age episode, they talk to climatologists. And they're guys who are in their 20s, you know, they just got their postdoc or whatever. And I paused the video and Googled some of those guys. They're still climatologists. Back in 77, 78, they're talking about how by the late 1980s, world's going to be like iced over. Same guys. So make of that what you will. I liked In Search of because it was cool to me when I was like, the coming ice age thing was scary, but like In Search of Ancient Astronauts, In Search of Bigfoot, In Search of Noah's Ark, In Search of the Loch Ness Monster, In Search of Life After Death, things like that, cool Fortean or other kind of spooky pseudoscience stuff. I loved seeing those episodes. Occasionally they did some, like I remember one, speaking of weather, it was like In Search of Tornadoes. And they talked about a meteorological team out of, was it Kansas or Missouri? I can't remember. But they actually worked with they worked with the Air Force and used the radar in an F-4 Phantom that they got. Like they asked the Air Force, hey, would you fly this Phantom jet and record on your radar scope like cloud formations and stuff like that. It was really, really kind of cool. It was really kind of neat. Jeff, the greatest dungeon master alive, colder than a witch's boobie in Knoxville, Tennessee. Absolutely. Oh, Walter Koenig. Oh, I hope you get to see him. I have sadly, I've never met any of the Trek personnel. I was at a con that Nichelle Nichols was at here in Orlando, like 18, 19 years ago. But I did not meet her. There were a number of reasons that I did not get to meet Ms. Nichols. But at any rate, oh, that's very cool, Jeff. That's very cool. So here's our first question tonight. What D&D or what does D&D do better than AD&D? What does AD&D do better than D&D? This is all strictly subjective. There is no objective correct in D&D except that AD&D is the most goodest. So I have spoken at length about the verve of AD&D being just far outpacing, outlasting, outstripping the verve in any other version of D&D. I loved the 9 alignments. I loved demons and devils. Even psionics. Yes, I'm including psionics. I liked the attention to detail, like you must be wearing a helmet or you're going to get your pretty little cabbage squished. So many little quirks and turns and options in AD&D that I prefer. Basic doesn't have those. Basic to me is very lean and very cut down. I will say basic, as the name implies, is lighter weight and easier to introduce, particularly the younger set, into. Now, I'll fast track them to AD&D, but that is my feeling. That is what I think that AD&D does better, and that is what I think that Basic does better. Um, I find the three axis, the three alignment axes to be far too rigid. You know, it doesn't leave us enough room for, like, okay, copper dragon, you know, or brass dragon, what have you. Um, I feel like the nine alignments just give more texture. And I know a lot of people, like, I'll start talking about alignments. Hello, Jorge, good to see you. I'll start talking about alignment sometime, and people will decry alignments, like, well, this game doesn't have alignment and that game doesn't have alignment, and so AD&D is better, or AD&D isn't as good because it's got all the alignment stuff. And here's the thing. I would never say, oh, let's play Hero System, but we're going to have alignments in it. Or let's play Call of Cthulhu, but we're going to have alignments in it. Or Traveler, but we're going to have alignments in it. But when it comes to D&D, advanced, original, basic, whatever, yes, I want alignments in it. Because it's part of the game. It informs how the game functions. It is, in my opinion, a critical part of Dungeons and Dragons. Not of all fantasy games, not of all role-playing games in general. I can only really think of one other role-playing game that has an alignment system, and that's Palladium, and Palladium's a hot mess. But I just feel like we do better with the nine alignments, and it's because it's what AD&D uses. I mean, if you want to start grabbing stuff and stripping it out of Dungeons and Dragons, you're very soon left with something that isn't Dungeons and Dragons at all once you start changing too much. And yes, I do consider alignment to be a foundational part of Dungeons and Dragons. It's not just a thing that's there to get in the way with having fun. I mean, I have met so many people who are like, yeah, I don't use alignments. No. Armor absorbs damage. It doesn't, and it ablates. We use spell points, not the Vancian spellcasting system. Anyone can play in anything. I mean, at the end of the day, when you get that reductive, what are you left with? What are you left with? Robert Phillips asks a good question. Is there a penalty for switching alignments, like lose a level? No, there is not, other than no longer having access to the ability to communicate your alignment. Switching back equals character nixed, character whacked. Jeff, the greatest DM alive, said he figured out a way to move basic to advanced. Well, that's very good. Good. I'm truly glad that you figured it out. Yeah, to me, I think you and I are on the same sheet of music, Daniel. The cosmology and ethos of the multiverse in AD&D is predicated upon the nine alignment system, and no, it absolutely stops working without those. Well, I wouldn't do that, and good for you. James Seymour asks, was AD&D written to more to codify convention rules or more to control the future of the game? Um, it was written primarily in response to D&D tournament questions. In original D&D, a DM may or may not use Blackmore. They may or may not use Eldritch Wizardry. They may or may not use, you know, Greyhawk, so on and etc. Um, and then there's articles in the Strategic Review and the Dragon. You know, are you running combat with 2d6? Are you running combat with those funny d20s? It can vary DM to DM. It can vary DM to DM. And the way that the way that Gary worked around this was by concatenating all of the stuff that he saw the essentials and then building them into a new version of D&D. So you'd have the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Player's Handbook, the Monster Manual, and go. Now, granted, there was still a lot of stuff introduced through Dragon Magazine. And a fair few rules did creep in with the monster books and with modules. But the essence of the rules remained unchanged. And that is what Gary wanted, was a set of common rules that if somebody said, I used this method to generate my character, you knew what those rules were going to be if somebody brought that character to your table or to a tournament. Let's see. Jeff, he asks, I ask you have a halfling. Do you like to fight or do you like to sneak around? Choose fighter or thief. Oh, okay. Yeah. But again, that goes back to something that I think AD&D really does exceptionally well, and that is multi-classing and dual classing. Now, when I worked on Teeth of the Bark Eshnor, buried in Gary's notes in there, he basically lays down the law for multi-classing. So this unpublished original D&D module had multi-classing, and there were halfling fighter thieves in the Teeth of the Bark Eshnor manuscript as pre-generated characters that would have come with the module. I ported those over to Castles and Crusades. Had Teeth of the Bark Eshnor been published, you guys would have had a multi-classing system, a codified multi-classing rule for Castles and Crusade. You can thank Frank Mentzer for screwing that one up. So if you wanted multi-classing and you wanted to know what a really good, simple, easy multi-classing system was, it was laid out by Gary in the Teeth of the Bark Eshnor MS just after original D&D had peaked, just prior to the release of AD&D. And you could have had that in Castles and Crusades, but, you know. Gonzalo Lira's Bar Tab. Highly recommend getting your hands on Dragon Magazine 136 for city creation charts and the merchant class. Very good advice. Very good advice from Gonzalo. City creation charts are not to be ignored. Also, something I can give you, mate those with the city geomorphs, the walled city geomorphs that were very rare for a long time, but you can now get off of DriveThruRPG, download, print, and just start assembling your own cities in, and then use the tables to create those. And thank you very much for the super, Gonzalo. I really appreciate it. But you know, I don't know. Let me see if I can find We can look at it together. Do, 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 do. All right, Dragon Magazine number 136. Let me get this brought up here. And we will have a quick look at it. So here we are, Dragon Magazine 136. This is either a Naga or a Yonti. There you go. And there you go. Or Ophidian. Or Ophidian. Given what's going on in the scene, I'm going to say Yonti probably. Gnome on a chain. This unfortunate fellow here looking very beaten up, being dragged in by a couple of what I can only presume are orcs. Yeah. This isn't good stuff about to happen. Any idea how many? No, I don't know. They were stamping them out pretty quickly. As far as I know, there was no quote unquote plan to stop, but they got stopped because they used Kenzer & Co. Material in the later sets without clearing it with them first, which is how we ended up with Hackmaster. But rather than potentially trip over anything else, they soon stopped production, which is why if you see them on the internet, like on eBay for sale, they go for many hundreds of dollars. Don't bother. Just go to an archive and feast on these to your heart's content. So let's see. Building Blocks City Style. This is by Thomas Kane. Thomas Kane. You cannot stop me, Batman. I was raised in the darkness. Oh, no, that would be Thomas Bane. Anyway. We'll skip the we'll skip the fluff text here and the intro. We know what this is about and what it does. So, first of all, we look at the Dungeon Master's Guide, and of course, we determine what size city. And then that modifies these die rolls. And then you just build your city accordingly. You fill it accordingly. There's huts, beekeepers' hives, herbwife's shop, quarry, lumber mill, mine, smelter, inn, burgher's home, temple, tenement, monastery, storehouse, bridge, market, livery stable, castle, artisan's shop, shanty, and then there's a note for artisan's shop. We gotta jump over to a different table. And once you make your roll, it's not necessarily a given. Like if you roll a 47, it's not a given that it exists. There's a 20% chance that it's there or not. And you got some lovely art there. So buildings in an inland city, buildings in a port city, and then we go over to table 6. What is table 6? Artisan sub table, which has all the stuff that might be made. And then we've got buildings in an Oriental city, buildings in an Oriental port city for Oriental adventures. A very nice Mach 2 monster there. Is there more of this or is that it? Yes. And this is August 88. So this is a good bit after Gary's gone, but this is also prior to the release of the Blood Bowl, nice. Prior to the release of second edition by a little bit. I think it came out in 89. So law enforcement in the AD&D urban setting. So all in all, this is a good one to get. Oh, I blew past it. It was hiding. It's hiding under the Sci-Fi Book Club. You know, subscribe now. You get a free Dragon Riders of Pern tote bag. So anyway, that is that issue, and you can find that on Anarchive. I'm sure you can find it on the archive.org website. But it's fairly easy to use. It's fairly easy to create. And then you just proceed apace. What was a question? Do I play any second edition? I don't. I do not. I appreciate what they were trying to do, and I know Jim wasn't trying to tear at Gary, but they had to produce a D&D that was tooled down to not upset church ladies, blue-haired church ladies. So we lost assassins, we lost half-orcs, we lost devils and demons. The language became a lot more bland. Gone were like a lot of the components for a lot of spell casting. And I know everybody always says to me, "Oh no, man, I just brought stuff over from 18." Yeah, and you got no official support for it from TSR at all. I just preferred a D&D from a company that wasn't hot on firing me as a customer if I didn't kowtow to what they wanted to have. And that's been going on since the summer of 1989 when 2E began to roll out. You know, so we lost, you know, the fun little harlot table, the effects of drugs and alcohol, the chance that the bad guys might actually win, the requirement for blood or flesh sacrifices for certain spells or the worship of certain evil deities, assassins gone completely, half-orcs, because heaven knows there couldn't be an exceptionally attractive half-orc female or an exceptionally attractive orc female and a human male or someone else who could cohabitate, enjoy life, and have a child and love them. So, you know, obviously the implication being that all half-orcs come from forced Congress. Exactly, Daniel. Daniel Rowan says the blood, gore, and evil is what makes the heroes heroes. And it absolutely does. You have to have evil for good to fight. And in a fight, there's a chance you might not win. And so that left a bad taste in my mouth. And that is kind of what is going on right now. El Shahay, is it El Shahay or Ish Shahay? I Some of the original AD&D books, really love them, but you think you're going to graft on some of the 2E system, and that's entirely fine. That's something, if that's what you want to do, you do that. I'm going to get my neck warmer down. I put my hair up with these things, cloth scrunchies, and I do this because regular hair bands rip my hair out of my head, and I want to keep having long hair. It's thinning. I get it. I'm an old man. It's thinning out, but I want to have long hair. Damn it. Mage's Musings. How are you? We're open D&D chat tonight. We just took a look at an issue of Dragon Magazine 136 from what was it, August of 88. We looked at the quick city building charts. That is a task. Please don't throw tomatoes at me. That is a task. You could copy and paste those charts into ChatGPT and say, run through this N number of times and then spit me out a PDF of your results. And then you do something else and you've got, in literally just moments, you've got an entire city. Dr. Phobo says, I can't stand my hair longer than a couple of inches. That's why getting my head buzzed in basic didn't bother me. I'll tell you a funny story about a friend of mine who, when he went to basic, he got a short haircut. He got what he thought was a buzz cut. And it really was. He saw us before he went, and you could see his scalp. And they set him down in that chair, and those barbers, he said they took a shaver and like they ground it across his scalp. I mean, everybody else got the same treatment, right? But there was no, I'm going to go in with my haircut beforehand, and that's, no. They took him down to cue ball. A high forehead is a sign of intelligence. It must be really smart. There you go. I just assume that, I will just forever look shocked from now on. Dad's hair got thin towards his later years, so I don't. This doesn't confront me that much, but I'm keeping it long. Well, Bob, you were right here in sunny Central Florida. It is not a mess, Daniel. You take that back. If it thins out, grow out the beard and come. Unfortunately, like when you guys have seen it and it's really bushy and I'm sure a lot of you, and if some of you guys have like sensory or visual issues, it probably freaks you out. Like, when my mustache is really bushy and sticking out, my beard is really bushy and sticking out, and I can actually get a little bit of a handful of it. That's it. That is it. I have attempted to, Mrs. the Dungeon Delver's dismay, had to grow out a beard, and it doesn't work. It just gets wirier, and don't tell, oh, well, you need this conditioner and you need this beard oil and you need this soap, and ain't nobody got time for that. So yeah, I don't get a wizard beard. If I got a wizard beard, my wife would be in great dismay because I would have a wizard beard. I envy dudes that can do wizard beards. I can't. It just poofs up. It's like a sheep. So porcupine chin. Jorge, you know what I'm talking about. Dr. Phobos, you know what I'm talking about. I have a solid hair game. Yeah, I do. I do. This when I was in my 20s, my hair used to go all the way down to my waist. I had dark chestnut brown hair that went all the way to my waist, and I loved it. Just one pastel, just one mutton chop. Which side? Uh, Gonzalo, paying for advertising. We love to see that. Shameless plug. I'm looking to find some players or a game in either first edition AD&D, Molde Basic, or to join a Hero System 5th edition Pulp campaign. I think you're probably going to do better with first edition or Molde around these parts, but you never know. Gonzalo, is there anywhere you want to you would like to tell people to find you? Or if anyone out there wants to speak up and in the chat, you guys coordinate, you proceed apace. Have I ever run Night Below? I have not. I've never run Night Below. Dr. Phobos says, greetings from the Salt Lake Valley. This is so serendipitous, Dr. Phobos. I was talking to someone just earlier this evening, just minutes before I came on Livestream. I was talking to my friend Astrid about my dearly departed friend Eric Peterson, who dwelt in Salt Lake. He was from there, traveled around the world extensively, but eventually came to reside there until he moved on to higher planes of adventure. I was guaranteed a couch to crash on if I could make it out there to see him, and it was on my list of things to do, and alas, it never came to be. That's right, Jorge. There is Discord, and you can use it to play online. Absolutely. Like and subscribe. Why would we possibly do that? Hey, 33K7. One of my friends over there on Twitter Space. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, love me some college football too, Daniel. And I agree with you, Dr. Phobos. But anyway, yes, Gonzalo Lira's bar tab, please let folks in the chat know how to get a hold of you. Because who knows, maybe there's somebody out there ready, willing, and able to get their game on. Favorite college team is Oregon State. Nice. Okay, over on the Discord, Gonzalo is GB Roguefran. Over on the Discord. And you know what? I'll be a mensch. I'll actually share the Discord with you guys tonight. So if you wanna check out the Discord, you may join us. Over there. Now, if you're watching this at some point in the future and you're like, hey, this link doesn't work, the whole, oh, well, we can, we can have, oh, that is not it at all. Uh, anyway, let me open up Discord again, guys. It was Discord that was causing my system to chug. And now it's taking its own sweet time to open. Anyway, once Discord gets open, I will share the link to you guys. All right, here we go. Starting. Okay, let's try this again. So anyway, future people, I have tried to create a quote unquote permanent link to the Discord, a permanent invite. It never works. It doesn't work. It expires sometimes within days, sometimes within weeks, but it always does expire. I've had it expire like in the show. People be like, "Yeah, it's not working," and I've had to generate a new one. And it is chugging. Runeward Gaming, good to see you. I am having a wonderful evening. The Monster Manual was 77, actually, Rob. Monster Manual was 77. Dungeon Master's Guide was 79. Invite people, okay. All right. I clicked the copy button. Will it let me paste it? Oh my gosh. All right, let's see. Nope. It is copying the text. Hidden. Use copy button. Were the reprint covers in 82? No, the reprint covers hit in 86. Nope, it's not letting me copy the invite, everyone. I'm sorry, I can't invite you to the Discord. I cannot control what Discord does or does not. Its interface is awful. Discord and how it does things have been a disaster for modern society. Well, no, Discord is actually the radio and the video portions of it are par excellence. The user interface is crap. Oh, Mage's Musings asking an important question. What is the update with the big 1-8 giveaway? A recipient was chosen. They have been contacted. I've got to get a hold of Heidi and Eric and get the batch of books sent to them. Drama Goblins, hello. Yes. Discord is far better than Skype. Has the best, like I said, the best audio and video features. The books after the Dungeon Master's Guide. So after the order of the books after Dungeon Master's Guide are, and I'm not going into modules or magazine issues here, for obvious reasons. Deities and Demigods, Fiend Folio, Monster Manual 2, Unearthed Arcana, Oriental Adventures, Dungeoneer Survival Guide, Wilderness Survival Guide, Manual of the Plains. That was the order of releases. The heck happened to prints 2 to 5 of AD&D Player's Handbook? You only see 1st through 6 printings. I don't know. Lag is killing you. Did I see your orc comment? No. Did I get? I myself did not get any snow. Um, North of me, about a 2 hour drive north of me. Which 2 hour? Okay, that sounds like a great distance. It's not really. But 2 hours north of me, maybe three, depending on traffic. Pensacola, Florida, got 10 inches of snow, and they're expecting more. Snow flurries in Tallahassee. If you want to talk about snow as any content of crystallized precipitation drifting down from the sky, whether it sticks, whether it piles up or not, then about 45 minutes or an hour north of me, we're getting light snow flurries. But we dodged it here. Death Star versus Space Battleship Yamato, or it's designed around the Death Star is designed around assault by a large starship. I'm going to give it to the Death Star. Remember, the Death Star used its main laser against capital ships over Endor, which makes me wonder why they got so damn close with their capital ships, why their capital ships didn't peel off immediately. I mean, I know the trap was sprung and the others, the Imperial fleet kind of pinned them there. Oh, it has. Okay, Sketch. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't know if you guys were still under a blanket of this stuff. So yeah, I think what you would get is the Death Star would pivot, fire the DSL, and then that would be it. Now, if the Yamato won initiative, it would get a shot off, but even the wave motion gun is not a planet buster. Would it tear a frack huge hole in the hull of the Death Star? Probably. You know, you'd probably see the death of a few 100,000 Imperial personnel. Just create a jagged scar right in it. Perhaps impede future function. If Yamato shot it in the Death Star laser port itself, that might actually be a good thing. If they nailed that laser port, which when I was a kid, I was like, why don't they just shoot at the big laser eye instead of trying to hit the just fly back and forth, dropping bombs and missiles on the laser eye. It was the battle at the end of Return of the Jedi, and I was thinking about this, that was really midway for the rebels. That we have a small fleet, we've intercepted some signals, we're putting it out there. It really was the battle of Midway for the rebels. Round 2, Death Star versus Borg Cube. Depends. Does the Empire are all Star Wars lasers essentially the same technology, or is the Death Star laser something completely other than else? Because if that's the case, then if the Death Star gets a shot off, there's not going to be a Borg cube to analyze what just hit them. Again, when the Death Star shot a Rebel capital ship, it pretty much turned straight into energy. Same thing with Alderaan. There were just little chunks of Alderaan. SDF-1 versus Yamato. That's almost an even fight. I would say that the wave motion gun versus the SDF's main cannons are probably peer weapons. That's going to come down to who shoots first, because ain't nobody going to shoot second. I mean, that you are literally talking about. It does have the main gun. It does have a main gun. Oh, sorry about your Starlink section. Voltron versus Devastator. Voltron, they can come. They can separate into smaller pieces and make multiple attacks. Yeah, but the thing with the thing with Trek versus the thing with Trek versus Star Wars, and I actually read somebody kind of wrote a bit of fan fiction ages ago about it essentially being a standstill. The TNG Enterprise, Space Rift, I don't remember what. They run into an ISD, and initially they take a beating and have to fall back. And it's because blasters are not lasers. They work on similar principles, but basically a blaster beam starts out as a laser beam that so a laser, basically it's photons excited in a matrix. Well, they put it through another matrix. You know that gas, the Tabana gas that they were mining on Cloud City in Empire Strikes Back? That's blaster gas. That is another matrix that an already excited laser beam goes through, and it becomes something else. Afridi versus Gold Dragon? Gold Dragon. What age category? Spells, no spells. That's important. Yes, Sketchosaurus, that is exactly right. You give the Empire the drop, as it were, and they'll wreck a few starships. Once the Federation realizes what's going on, they're going to be doing stuff like beaming photon torpedoes directly into the fighter bays of the Empire ships. This assumes that the deflector shields of Star Wars ships are not peer to the deflector shields of Star Trek ships. Yeah, essentially 33K7, essentially. Ditka versus God. So Ditka versus God, the almighty creator of the universe is not going to let Ditka fight him because he knows the devastation laid to the world would be too much for the globe to handle. Is a Sith a consideration? Yeah, I mean, I think, you get Vader on the Enterprise. Maybe Spock can hold him off. possibly with a mind control thing. But I mean, probably the only good Star Wars movie post original trilogy is Rogue One, and that scene when Vader goes full ham on those poor Republic Marines. You know, put that in the context of of Federation crewmen trying to hold him off. God 7, Ditka 6. And that's only because Ditka would deliberately miss the extra point so as not to anger the Almighty and allow the Bears to keep playing football. Worf takes a beating immediately. Worf takes a lightsaber immediately to show how sliced he is. Any gameverse truth to the sci-fi meme that Chuck Norris is an older guy? I've never seen anything. I haven't seen anything like that. I do know Chuck Norris is a Christian. He is a person of faith now. So he would probably not like his inclusion in the Cthulhu mythos. Da Bears. I remember so Theorycraft Go, stats of a lightsaber in 1E AD&D. That's easy, we already have it. There is a weapon in Unearthed Arcana. I can't remember if it shows up elsewhere. It's called a Rod of Force. It is basically a lightsaber. Earl Grey extra hot right in Vader's breathing apparatus. I think Vader would probably be able to shrug off a stun beam just based on the Force itself. Anyway, I realize it stopped now. Anybody who wants to laugh at me about this, fine. But up until Nick Saban retired, the Alabama Crimson Tide were a ridiculously fierce football team after 2007. Even on seasons that they didn't go to the national championship, people that got in their way generally got hurt. And somebody made a meme back in like 2017, 2018 of the schedule the rest of college football wished that Alabama would have. And like two of the games back to back, it was the 85 Chicago Bears, and the one right after that was 85 real Bears. Hey, Dusty, good evening to you. How are you? Good to see you. Dr. Phobos is having, let's see, Having a bit of PTSD. We had a phase where we characters from all over fiction and AD&D. We used to call it Gods and Galaxies. Now it's a phase that shall not be spoken of. That's fine. Let's see. Hey, Dungeon Minister. Good to see you, Padre. Let me see if I can find this because somebody asked about lightsaber stats in AD&D. Let me find Unearthed Arcana. If I can. If I have it on this machine. I feel like I do. You know, here. Just... There we go. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. We have the lightsaber in AD&D right here. God, I hate that. Okay. Sometimes when you move a window around in Windows, it will do a thing like, oh, yeah, we'll just tile all your windows for you. That's clearly what you were about to do. We're like, no. It should just be an option. You can turn that off. Here we go. Wand of Force, or Juan of Force, if you're from south of the border. I apologize for that. Although it is rumored that the concept of such a wand has taken many forms, the one which has been standardized, so to speak, is a trifunction device which requires considerable operator knowledge only in the application of its third function. Firstly, a wand of force enables the wielder to cause a shaft of nearly invisible blue-white energy to spring forth from its tip. The shaft of energy extends 4 feet and is equal to a +5 bastard sword with respect to hit probability and damage. It can create a wall of force, and it can create a nearly invisible plane of energy which performs as if it had been cast by the created by the casting of a big beast forceful hand. The wand user must actually be a magic user in order to activate this function, and regardless of his or her level, one of the various Big B hand fist spells must be recorded for study, not necessarily for casting. So it seems to me like this basically is allowing you to have a Jedi in AD&D. I mean, force manipulation, create a wall of force, and what's going to happen? Things are going to ping off of it, or you get a lightsaber effect. The way I see it, that is essentially a lightsaber. So there you go. See, where else on the internet can you find out such great stuff? Like just like that. So if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications. And if you like this and like the fact that I keep doing stuff like that, give me a thumbs up on the video. Leave a comment down below if you're watching this after the fact. Hello, Sky Pilot. I'm more of a flight attendant. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scottish Airways. This is our regularly scheduled flight to Glasgow. There is no need to panic. Likes are free, not the way I use them. Oh, my goodness. Who elected me to the Nerd Council? Who elected me to the Nerd Council? I don't know. Yang just kind of said, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and Dungeon Minister and I didn't really have any say in the matter. We were told to show up, and we did. But yeah, there you go. And in AD&D, of course, it has charges because, I mean, just, a magic user walking around using that. The pay is good. Yeah. Well, I mean. Wait, you guys are getting paid? Mary Poppins was a member of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, fought and single handedly defeated the Antichrist. Well, did anybody, let me ask you guys, did anyone see Mary Poppins Returns? We watched it when it came out. We may even have it on DVD, come to think on it. Because it hit right as the kids were sort of getting out of children's movies. I I liked it. I liked it. I did. I thought it was very sweet. 3,250 more subs till SylvieCon. At the rate I'm going, SylvieCon won't happen. I feel like that guy. I feel like that guy who, he has a house in kind of a open suburban neighborhood, and he's worried about property taxes getting too high. So he'll go off and fire off blanks late at night in his backyard. So people call and complain about gunfire. And that gets on the police blotter. And then, nothing else. So, but I'm not doing it deliberately. It's just, I don't, I don't want to gripe because I love all you guys and I appreciate everything that everyone does. I am not leveling a complaint at anyone. I'm leveling a complaint at myself, really. I create what I think is good content. And then, I just see subs falling. And it's just kind of it just, I don't know, I would have thought some of the stuff that I put up there. Granted, I'm not saying everything I do is perfect and everything I do is wonderful. And why don't you bastards love me more? That's not where I'm going with this. I mean, I people ask like, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Well, I'd have to edit videos, and I hate the sound of my own voice. I hate editing videos. I edited that video about the latest Wizards of the Coast brouhaha to edit out all the ums and ahs. That video went from 16 minutes 10 seconds to 14 minutes 21 seconds, just taking out ums and ahs. And I had to listen to myself for like the 30 minutes it took me to edit it. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just not meant to last. Maybe it was just not sustainable, and I'm just back to, a couple of subs every month again. And if that's the case, the in real life guac, it'll never happen. So, if that's the case, that's the case. I mean, in December, I lost like 20 subscribers. So I don't know. Like and subscribe, folks. I promise my content actually doesn't suck. And it is what it is. But hey, we're still having the Guac, the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention. That's still going to happen this spring. Never you fear. That is going to happen. Dungeon Minister created a great piece of art. Was that you who made that piece of art, or were we just kind of sharing that? Well, thank you for becoming a member. Thank you very much. I don't. Is that Ishahay or is that El Shahay? I'm sorry. I don't know. Yes, Goug. That is the is like hiss. Isahay. Okay. No, that's fine. Hank. No, I like Isahay. Yes, Goke for the win. That was you via AI. You sent it as a gag, but I like it. I like it. I do. I also have some art from Sky Hernstrom. We will have merch with stuff that Sky Hernstrom did. The Dungeon Minister thing that he sent along. But thank you for becoming a member. I really appreciate it. Let me show you guys this. This is actually really cool. I thought, you know, I don't know why this PC just has random slowdowns. So I saw something the other day. I had wanted to mention this. It gets you into the weekly games. You can game any day of the week you want to. I love that. That looks like something that would have been in a 1970s computer magazine, like Creative Computing. You know, digital dungeons. You know, we hack our way through Zork, Wizardry, and Ultima in this review. I love that. Hell yeah, that's going on some merch. So this is a thing. This actually popped up in my YouTube feed, and I want to be 100% clear. I don't know the names of the people involved. If you know the names of the people involved and you tell people in the chat this is what was going on, I'm absolutely okay with that. I'm not going to get into it because I'm not engagement farming about this. I just thought it was funny. So some background. In like the early 2000s, a friend of mine, and he's still a friend of mine. I haven't heard from him in forever. I miss him terribly. I love him like a brother. He reached out to me and was like, you gotta start playing World of Warcraft. And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm all about D&D. And he's like, this is D&D now. This is getting together with your friends and going on a dungeon raid. It's just the way it is now. You gotta try this. And I'm like, you know. So the wife and I tried it out for a little while, and then we were like, it's not really our cup of. So, you know, we tried it and we moved on. So I know a little bit about World of Warcraft. Is it okay that what freaked you out was the computer model and not the mimic? Sure. Oh, excellent, Jeff. Good to see you. So this popped up. There is some guy on YouTube, and I guess he streams on Twitch, and he does like, he'll stream for like 18 hours. He'll just sit behind his computer talking about his career in IT security and programming, and when he played what's that, what is that hateful ass space sim, EVE Online, where, you know, basically the point of the game is to ruin everyone else's fun in the game. It is Zan. By the way, welcome. Why don't you follow me on Twitter, Zan? I followed you. So he does this, like, and he doesn't stream. So he got together with a group of friends and they played a World of Warcraft game where it's like a hardcore mode. If your character dies, that's it. Can't go get their equipment back. Can't raise them from the dead. Oh, that's cool. 33K7. I like that. So yeah, they were playing hardcore mode. And again, they played for a really long time. One of the guys was playing a magic user and apparently didn't know his inventory well enough to know that he could have done more stuff to help the party when they accidentally triggered a bunch of other mobs to attack them. See, I know my WoW lingo. They pulled mobs and everybody else was losing their characters, and he was like, nope, and he ran. And people were like, dude, why didn't you use this? Why didn't you use that? You have this stuff here in your inventory. And he was taking the attitude of, well, there's nothing I could have done. You know, that was proven not to work. That thing was too tough. I wasn't doing enough damage. I didn't want my character to die. And it's not so much, yes, Ishahay, that is it. That is what I'm talking about. And again, I'm not calling out, I'm not engagement farming about that thing with Pirate Software, which is the person's handle on YouTube and Twitch. That's what he calls himself. So we'll call him Mr. Software, just so I don't trip some algorithmic thing. He called run and he ran, and then somebody else said, wait, stop, no, let's stand and fight. And he was like, nope. And he left. But then they accused him of not knowing his inventory, and he had stuff that could have, and he was like, it was funny because it fit my friend's description of WoW is now D&D when my friend said it to me back in like 2008, 2007. Because despite the PCMR attitude of we're doing something different, this is a step above, this is a new level of interactivity, yada, yada, yada. That is exactly the kind of juvenile, like, oh, why didn't you cast Cure Light Wounds on me? Maybe I didn't want to use Cure Light Wounds on your paladin, Dan. You're always talking about high and mighty you are, and I can't do this and I can't do that because you're lawful good. It was exactly like that. The importance that these guys poured into it. And I guess they kicked him out of the little group that was streaming this stuff. And yeah, it was something that could happen playing D&D, but just out of nowhere, my YouTube feed was like, hey, look at this guy's video where he's reacting to a video about this guy's attitude about leaving the dungeon. Now look at this guy's video where he's wrapping up the whole situation. Now this guy is farming. And I'm just like, I'm just going through don't recommend, don't recommend, don't recommend, don't recommend, don't recommend. After I had watched it once. And yeah, it was very much in the vein, the frame of old school D&D. um but I just found it funny, the drama that was generated. It's like, so go back to the 70s, 80s, or even 90s, or even now, when you have something like that blow up, maybe if you made a post on r/D&D horror stories or r/RPG horror stories, maybe that would catch the eyes of a few thousand people viewing the thing. And then if it got picked up by Den of Drake or Crispy's Tavern or RPG Doge or something like that, it will get a few tens of thousands of more people. I disagree, Don. I think it was wizardry, proving grounds of the Mad Overlord. Um, so you know, maybe a few thousand people see it, but these guys, like, I was looking at the videos of people reacting to news reports about this or to the original videos, are in the hundreds of millions of people are watching these guys bitch about their D&D game. And I was just like, I guess the end result was the Mr. Software got kicked out of the D&D table. He was told not to come back to the D&D table. Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's a, hey, I could farm engagement. That's what the one guy, the Mr. Software, he's got this real deep voice. Let's see if I can do an impression. Don't do it. Don't post about this, my friend. Because let me tell you, you're going to farm engagement about this, and then when it's done, it's not sustainable. You can go ahead and try and do it, but it's not sustainable. That's my that's my Mr. Software impression. I had seen his videos before, but they were recommended to me from an IT standpoint. And again, this is not a call out, and I'm not, but some of his stories are just like so outrageous. But I have all, like, I could do the same. I can tell you guys about meeting Gary Gygax and playing D&D with Jim Ward and with Rob Kuntz and handling like Greyhawk notes when I was working on Teeth of the Barkish Noir. So I can Alpha Geek too. And if somebody like did an impression of me doing this, it would be the same thing. Because I'm watching one of his videos and he's talking about going to DEF CON, which I know Don McVitie knows what DEF CON is. So anyway, there I am, I'm in a room. It's me, it's Steve Jobs, it's Bill Gates. And, I'm explaining to them, C++ it's the way to go forward. And we're all logging in. We're installing System 5 Unix on the hotel room sink, and a guy comes in. And of course, he's got a big problem with this. So, I immediately looked up all of his information online, and I posted it over on 4chan, and, the problem kind of took care of itself. Meanwhile, he's got like 80 windows in the background of people saying stuff and graphs and charts and like an MS Paint drawing in the middle of him explaining what's going on. But again, I'm not mocking him. I'm not calling him out, because if somebody somebody could come and say, yeah, so there's this guy, the Dungeon Delver, and he sits around and he goes, yeah, I knew Gary Gygax, and I was playing D&D with Gary Gygax, and, and Rob Kuntz was in the room with us, and, our party got wiped out. I mean, come on with this guy. So I'm not like calling him out or anything. That's just kind of his cadence, his voice. That's the content I should consider. What content? Making fun of Mr. Software? No, I don't want to do that. I'll find the nav system to my wife's Honda hijacked. Become the Gordon Ramsay of open online games. 2 pieces of whey bread on the side of a player's head. What are you? An idiot sandwich? That's right. I guess, yeah, a hater. Are there any official maps of Vermont City? Yes, I believe there are. Fate of Istis has or is it Adventures in Greyhawk? Hang on a second. I got to look this up because, yes, there is a map of Vermont City. Take me down to a Vermont City. Let's see. All right, so let's see. Fate of Istis. So, Ye Olde City Scroll, number 9 for Ayuza's Gambit was written by Rob Kuntz, and it is in Fate of Istis, which is a very early 2E module. And because Rob wrote it, I consider it Greyhawk canon. The interesting people I've gamed with. Yes, exactly. I do Greyhawk. I game in Greyhawk because it's there. It's Greyhawk is. Excuse me. Let me do this as Mr. Software. So, I tell you what. If somebody throws me a super chat, I will answer that as Mr. Software. I'll give it a few seconds. See a dungeon minister. Oh, perish the thought that you not get home. Drive safe, though. I know it's probably icy cold up there and slick roads and all that. Yes, Greyhawk Adventures and Fate of Istis. Rob Turner, have a lovely evening. Thank you for stopping by. Tell you what, no super chat by 10:29 or by 10:30, and I'll just answer normally. Greyhawk. There are a few tech items in Greyhawk, but not many. There are 2 6-shooters, but you would have to get them from Murrayland, an NPC who was created to honor Gary's dear friend, the late Don K. So what do we got? Runeward Gaming can't resist. Thank you very much for the 5 Canuck bucks. I really appreciate that, Runeward. All right. As Mr. Illegally Obtained Software, but me explaining Greyhawk. So what you need to understand is Greyhawk is fundamentally a clean sheet design, and what we were doing with Greyhawk back in the day, So I'm there with Gary, and I'm talking to him about Greyhawk, and and he's explaining it to me, he's going on about it, and I realize that I can do anything with the World of Greyhawk set, so that's what we decide to go with, and we have it set up the way we want it in my campaign. So, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's World of Greyhawk, and yeah, it's World of Greyhawk, and it's set up the way I want it set. I've got all the adventures are set, and here's what we did. All the adventures are set where they need to be, but I can adjust things if I need to fit the situation. So that's that, and that is why I go with World of Greyhawk. So, what's it? It is $5. So it is $5. The Quantum Ogre. Yeah, I don't. I have. When I saw him talking about that, he was wearing a wizard's hat. I felt intruded on. You stay in your corner and talk genius stuff about computer tech, you sir, with your millions of subscribers and your 18-hour live streams. Kanakastanian dollars. I think that it's not important, is what it is. It's not important because I appreciate I appreciate everything that folks donate to the show. But the Quantum Ogre is kind of a problem. Generally speaking, though, I do. By the way, how was that Ishahay? How was my Mr. Software impression? You got to tell me. Yeah, I mean, I have stuff in my World of Greyhawk that I have put there, and I have assiduously nailed to that map. I am never moving it so that the players will automatically run into it. I hope they encounter it someday, but if they don't, if we retire this game and they never do, maybe I'll tell them in a post-credits scene. I'll just be like, now that we're done, now that we're finished, we'll wrap it up. And I will tell you guys what was in this hex, what you could have found with this, what you could have found with that. And sometimes I will, like, the one thing, and I try to tell new and even experienced DMs who maybe don't do this, and I've told experienced DMs that I do this, and like watching that light come on, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that?" Not to break my arm patting myself on the back or anything, but the thing about overland travel in a world where you have lots of potential encounters, plot out possible directions a party will take. Roll for random encounters, whatever they are, along that entire stretch. Do that for 3 runs. Maybe they're going to hook south. Maybe they're going to cross the big inner sea. Maybe they're going to hook north. And then ask them, once you have all your notes concatenated, excellent 33K7. But I've got a fun story-ish, fun-ish story about Cutthroat Island. After you've got everything laid out and you've determined, are there towns, are there monster encounters, everything. When the players sit down, ask them, so which way are you guys? Are you going to hook around south? Are you going to go to the north? Are you just going to cut across the inner sea like on a boat? And you're presenting them with choices. You're making it seem like they've got a lot of choices, but you've already decided that you want them to go one of those three ways. Say, okay, there's three ways you can get to Skull Castle. You can go straight across the inner sea by ship. You can cut around to the south through the Shining Desert. You can go north through the ice mountains. And you've plotted out all of your potential encounters that they could have on there. And there you go. And then you say, the first 10 days at sea pass uneventfully. And then on the 11th night, there's a storm. And in the distance, you see an island where there ought not be, and the ship seems strangely drawn to it. Yes, thank you, Ishahay. That is so perfect. It avoids analysis paralysis. Oh my God, the importance of that. The importance, and if it starts to set in as a DM, whether you're in the dungeon or whether they are in a city or overland, if you see it setting in, well, I think we should wait. I don't know. What are the advantages of what you just give them two logical choices at that point. If they're hesitating, do we go down the spiral staircase or we continue on the hall and they're back and forth? Guys, it's just two choices. Which are you doing? Are you going straight forward or are you going down the stairs? Somebody will speak up and say, let's go forward or let's go down the stairs or let's, take the path through the Shining Desert. Sometimes all it takes is a little nudge to kind of free up the gear works in the party, knock the sand loose, and then they can get going again. Thank you, Runeword Soft Roning. Yellowbeard. Hobble, hobble, stagger, stagger, roll, roll. Sinbad was all right, but I think people are right. He did steal a lot of his material from Bill Cosby. Are we talking about a different Sinbad? I mean, fortunately, blessedly, nowadays, with the ability, first of all, my Monday night game, well, all of my games right now are online. I can have Dungeon Master Assistant Volume 1 encounters running in a box, just sitting there. So if the party is like, I see what you're doing, DM. You're like, I got something planned if they go through the desert. I got something planned if they go across the sea. I got something planned. We're going to go all the way south through the Emerald Jungle. And then we're going to hook around to the north and we're going to approach Skull Castle from the rear. You can have that set up. It does get a little choppy. It does get a little laggy, but less so than let me roll some dice. That happens to me a lot too, Daniel Rowan. My guys try so hard to outthink me, they wind up doing goofy shit also. Once upon a time, when I left my longtime IT job, I cleaned out a closet and I asked if I could have the stuff in it before I left. And one of the items I got was a Sager NP933. It was a 386 laptop. Ran at 50 megahertz, I think. DX. Really nice keyboard. Really nice keyboard. Floppy drive, 500 mega hard drive. I put an 850 in it. Guys, we're talking about 2001, I think. So while this thing was old, it wasn't ancient like it is now. So we're talking like this was 24 years ago. But it ran DOS and Windows 3.1. And I loved it because I finally had a portable computer I could sit at the table and run the Dungeon Master's Assistant Volume 1 and 2 in Windows 3.1. The thing had 4 megabytes of memory. And peep this. I had Adobe Acrobat 3 running in Windows 3.1. And I could have 2 or 3 PDFs open and it not make the system chug. It had a Dungeon Master's Guide open, Monster Manual open, and Player's Handbook open, and a module. And it did not chug. No, there were 386DX. There were 386DX. And the DX50 was what was in there. And my boss was oh wow, the original Mac port with those like lunchbox size lead acid batteries. My boss had gotten his start in IT at a computer store in San Diego, which, by the way, you can see. So we've all seen the video of the guy who went on the tank rampage in San Diego back in 1991. My boss, Sean, the computer store he worked at, he was working that day and saw the guy rumble by. He's like, yeah, if you watch the video, you can see our computer store just on the corner as the tank goes by. Isha, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you for the kind words. But I'll tell you guys the laptop story, and then I'm probably going to wrap it up myself because I've been going almost 2 hours. He recognized it and told me all about the cool stuff. Like it came, like you could unplug the battery from it. The battery like sat kind of outside the laptop and was docked onto it, but you could unplug that and put an actual physical dock on it and run it off the AC brick. But the physical dock had like extra ports. I don't even remember what else it did. I want to say that he said the dock had like a sound capability. Otherwise, it was just PC beeper inside, but I could be wrong about that. And like an idiot, I sold that laptop for $20 to a friend. So he wanted to use it to, because I had Office 95 installed on the Windows, installed in Windows, and he wanted to use it. He wanted to use Excel to keep track of stuff for, what was it? Was it Mountain Blade? I think was the game. I don't remember now. I have looked all over the place for one of those laptops. I would love to have that sucker again. Had such a nice keyboard, such a spiffy laptop. I can't find any of the laptops from when I was in my 30s. Not even like, not working. I'll tackle this as a weekend project and then, I can get rid of it if I get too frustrated. So I'm going to go ahead and head on out of here, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Tomorrow night, birthday live stream. It's going to be more like this, except more alcohol. Thank you, everyone, for being here. If you haven't already, please do click the subscribe button. Click the bell icon for notifications. I would love it if you did that. Thank you. Big thanks to Ishahay for becoming a member. Runeword, Gonzalo, Runeword and Gonzalo for the supers. You guys literally help keep the lights on here. Yes, I turned 33. So all of you guys help keep the lights on around here, and you help keep the light on in here. I mean that. So peace to you all, and do be careful on your way out. Tip your owl bear.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere, in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around, some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle, way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.